We got a lot to do today. Happy Monday. Braun, Kratz, AJ joining us soon. For those of you who cry when AJ's not on, don't worry. He will join us soon. I missed a lot on Friday. You guys had a great show with Preller and Giroli. I mean, there were decisions made on qualifying offers. Fairbanks enters the fold as a free agent. I could have spent a lot of time talking about the Rockies situation. We'll try and get some thoughts from AJ at some point on everything that he missed, maybe during some breaks. But for me, Kratz, I saw the headline initially, and I'm like, Rockies did it. They finally went outside the org, and they're bringing someone in who's more analytical and tech-oriented. And then I was like, they're bringing someone who's been out of the game for 10 years and is a part of a top 3 dumpster fire franchise in the NFL.
But at least it's 10 years. At least now he still has relevant information that the Rockies don't have yet. So that's good.
From 2015.
Yeah.
Do you know how much the game has changed?
They're still back before 2015. So this is I don't know. I tried to spin a good light on it. Just wasn't good.
The best comment I saw when that first came out was someone who was going through how many years behind they are. And they were like, oh, just wait till they get to 2017 and discover Apple Watches. I lost it. Anyway, we'll mix in some news from last week. We got a lot to get to from the weekend, so let us charge. Charging the mound. Feds are coming in hot. Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz have not played ball for a while this investigation was going on, and now it all comes out in droves over the weekend. They're indicted. They're facing up to 65 years in federal prison if convicted on all charges to rig bets on individual pitches thrown. Charges include wire fraud conspiracy, honest services wire fraud conspiracy, conspiracy to influence sporting contest by bribery, and money laundering conspiracy. Both of them, through their legal representation, said they're totally innocent and they've done nothing wrong. They do get to go through the court process. Luis Ortiz seemed like he hopped on board way later, according to these allegations. Man, Clase has been involved with a lot of crap here for a while, if you're going off what's happening. And they didn't make that much money off it, especially Clase, who's making millions of dollars every year. But it gets really specific and detailed with Clase and friends and phone calls and being around people and giving them money to place bets on individual pitches, right? Hey, I'm going to throw this pitch. I'm going to throw a ball. I'm going to throw a pitch above or below a certain miles per hour. Those are all things that his buddies or his, whatever you want to call them, colleagues in this scheme were placing money on and winning money on, except for one situation where Andy Pajes swung at a pitch down in the dirt. Your thoughts on how crazy the details are here?
The details are I can't get away from the details. The details are so specific. He called somebody, or he conversated with him for 4 minutes before he was going to go in the game. I'm not saying he was warming up, but he was I guess he knew he was going in the game. I don't remember the exact timeline. And then he sent texts, and sure enough, the bet hits. The details are crazy to me because as a player, I knew nothing about this. Now, not playing, I started to learn a little bit more about it, but even more, I didn't even know about this. I didn't know that this was something that you could do. And then my mind goes, well, why is he doing this? I'm sure we'll get to it later, but why is he doing this? Why did he feel like his career and his money that he was making wasn't going to be enough? He being the best closer in the game for a little bit wasn't going to be enough financially for him, so he needed $12,000 extra dollars.
Oh, but AJ, there's too much temptation. There's too much temptation here. What's up? How's it going? I mean, you got to give him some credit here. There's so much temptation thrown his way. What? Are you kidding me? Temptation?
No, for what?
There's
5,000?
temptation in the world
5,000?
for everyone. And we say, no, I could deal drugs, but I don't.
You don't? You don't,
I don't.
Scott?
Why? Because you
sure?
get in trouble for
Are
that.
you sure, Scott?
Okay.
Are you sure?
You get in
EDC was this
trouble for
weekend.
that.
Hey, EDC was this weekend, Scott. Are you sure you don't deal
I
drugs?
didn't go.
Oh,
But yes,
I'm so disappointed.
there are a lot
in
of
you.
temptations. You could do things illegally for business. But if you do that,
Yes.
there are ramifications. Are we supposed to feel bad because betting is
No.
legal and they regulate it? And so now they're able to catch him because all of a sudden they're like, wait, why is there massive amounts of money being placed on one pitch by Clase? That's how you catch this crap. So we're supposed to feel
No, I'm
bad?
happy. No, I'm happy. Listen, I had a whole thing this past weekend where I was talking to people and they were like, I don't understand this whole betting thing. And I said, you know what the problem is? It's regulated now. It wasn't regulated before. Now it's regulated. Before it was just with bookies. When Pete Rose was betting on baseball, we had to count on the bookie getting caught. Now it's regulated. So they can see that, oh, wow, all of a sudden 50 grand was bet on Clase throwing a pitch that bounced 3 feet in front of the plate, or Ortiz threw a pitch that bounced 7 feet in front of the plate. And God forbid Andy Pages swing at one, because he swung at one, and then we get the sad puppy face where it's like,
all
right?
in the details. Were
Am
you
I not
shocked
right?
at how many details there were, how reckless this was? At least, again, I get it, allegations, but the feds have been working on this for a while. Were you shocked at how much they found with Clase specifically, putting so much together with people around him? Yes,
because then he brought another guy in with him. But what I don't understand is Clase was in line to make $10 million, $12 million. He was in line to make $30, $40 million. And he did not. He wanted $5 grand quick. Like, dude, like there's other ways to make $5 grand quick. Do a signing. Emmanuel Clase could do a signing. He'd be fine.
Right. Can't you just tell your agent, hey, I want to do some extra signings locally. Find some spots where I pop up. I need a little bit of extra cash. I mean, again, I just want to make sure this is clear. Luis Ortiz, not poor on the contract, but early on in his career, making league minimum $700-something thousand. In normal life,
you know how many
terms,
people
you're
would kill?
Good. Yeah, of
Scott,
course. But I just want to emphasize, dude, Clase is making so much money in life terms.
Clase was in line to make $5
grand should mean nothing.
Clase was in line to make $50 million. $50 million. Like $10 million a year for years coming up, for multiple years. And he did this for $5,000. $5 grand.
Yeah, I think 12 technically, right? It was a 5 and then a 7 piece or something. And
yeah, but
in
5
my
at
mind,
a time.
Yeah, we don't have all the details.
Time.
I could see Clase potentially making more on this so far, based on all of the allegations that I've seen. Maybe there's been some money trails that weren't caught. But either way, nothing close to it making sense for him to put his entire career and to put his life from a criminal standpoint on the line. I mean, up to 65 years in prison. Are they going to get that? Probably not. Are they going to ever play baseball again? Man, it is going to take some hell of a turnaround case here to convince everyone that you weren't involved in this. So now, I mean, we'll go back to the case and everything too. Hey, the Cleveland Guardians had themselves one of the cheaper top closers in baseball for a while. They did okay without him towards the end of last season, but he gone.
And obviously this is, we're assuming he's guilty based on the facts. This isn't Major League Baseball doing the investigation. This was a federal investigation. Based on the facts that we read, we're assuming he's guilty, and that's where my opinion comes from when I say this. Emmanuel Clase was also a steroid user, performance-enhancing drugs in 2020. So I don't feel like maybe all of his decisions are really tightened up. I don't think he makes some pretty poor decisions. So he's never going to play in Major League Baseball again. And good for a Dominican team that didn't let him play in the DR either. Yeah, he was trying to go to Venezuela.
But dude, you can't compare steroids and gambling because steroids people forget
about
decisions. Yes, but you can't
decision making. That's
steroids.
it.
We talked about this the other day. Everyone's like, "Oh, he did steroids. Oh, boo hoo. Oh, and then he's fine now." Because I'll be honest with you. If I look back on my career and I played in the steroid era, why would you not do them? If you're going to get a $100 million, $200 million contract, I have to give up $5 million, but I'm still making $195 million? Oh, okay. And no one remembers? I'm not going to the Hall of Fame, right? I don't know. So, let's not lump steroids and gambling in the same thing because gambling is on a whole different level. That affects absolutely the integrity of the game. Although Andy
No, AJ
was like, take your integrity and watch me swing at this ball in the dirt.
He's just saying he's made some wrong decisions. And also, yes, I mean, back in the
that I
day,
agree with.
there were really no repercussions for roids. Now there are. It's tested. You get caught. You get banned for a specific amount of games. Zach Mizell in The Athletic wrote in his story on this about a specific detail. For example, and Kratz alluded to this somewhat. April 26, 3:16 p.m., just before he entered the game in the 8th inning, he texts an associate who's sitting in the stands at the ballpark. Then they have a 2-minute phone call, which is against MLB rules. You're not allowed to do that during games anyway. 4 minutes later, a group of bettors win 11 grand, wagering a particular pitch by Clase would register at slower than 97.95 miles an hour. And then he hung out with those people after the game. Oh, what? Wow. I mean, that is reckless. That is reckless.
How do you know this? How do you know this? That's what I want to know. You're like, I'm going to this ball. I mean, I know I get the throwing a
throw a slider. What do you mean?
Yeah, but his slider's like 100 anyways.
His cutter thing is pretty hard. Yeah.
But my thing is like, you're like, I'm just going to yank this one straight into the dirt, which he tried numerous times. And so did Ortiz. Like, listen, I'm not saying they're guilty, but from looking at the evidence that I've seen and I've read this whole thing, it's hard to argue that something wasn't off because it was always the first pitch, right? It was like, oh, first pitch, watch this. And then they go dig in the mound and they're like, like, I get it. They might not be guilty, but wow. If I'm looking at this from the outside, I'm thinking, wow.
There's so much surveillance too. Bank security footage captured Clase withdrawing 50 G's in cash. He gave 15K to one of the bettors who was in Cleveland that day to wager on that pitch. They've been working hard on this one to gather evidence.
What did Clase? I didn't see what did Clase's agent say or his attorney? He's not guilty.
He's not guilty.
Yeah.
But so then,
you want me to read it? Because Ortiz's is long. Clase's attorney just says Emmanuel Clase is donated
50 grand.
What?
If you pull out 50 grand and hand it to a guy or whatever it was, and then he bet on that pitch, like doesn't that seems fishy? I'm just saying, fishy.
Among many,
fishy?
What about if you place a phone call and say, "Hey, I'm about to go in the game. Here's what's going to happen." You can't do that.
I'm going in and 1 out. Was he like this on his phone as he was warming up? Was the bullpen coach down there like, he's like, hey, you can't be on your phone. He's like, hold on, let me text my friend and tell him I'm going to throw a first pitch ball. Like what?
I mean, that's what it appears. That is what this indictment from the DOJ says. And yes, his attorney said Clase has devoted his life to baseball and doing everything in his power to help his team win. Emmanuel is innocent of all charges and looks forward to clearing his name in court. So clearly, at least initially here, there's no plea deal or anything like that. And again, for legal ramifications, we have to say he's going to court. We're not assuming he's guilty. We're just like everybody else looking at a ton of evidence that has been thrown out there already in this initial report.
Usually the feds don't go after you unless they have a pretty good case. I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there, Kratz. They usually don't go after you unless they have a pretty good case. And if look, Ortiz is in custody, right? Where's Clase? Is he not in custody?
No, he's in.
Not yet.
He's still in.
He's not here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Ortiz was in Boston, so he went into custody, or in New England. I think it's up in New England, somewhere up there.
Yeah. He was arrested in Massachusetts talking about Luis Ortiz. The Ortiz case, is definitely containing less evidence, but that does, I mean, if you do one time, the way it works in baseball, at least, is you're gone. It's not like, oops, I did that one time. Can I have forgiveness? There is no second strike policy. It's one time and you're out. And they do have communication with Clase, talking to Ortiz and saying when you're getting that money sent to you in the DR to say it's for repairs at the country house. So there's a lot here. You can read about it. There are excellent reports and articles on this topic. Let's continue this topic, among others, business-wise, legal-wise, etc. Our friend David Samson joining us next. This episode of FT is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. Give me an example in Pennsylvania, Kratz.
Right down the street from my house, the Tap House. Not only is it an awesome place to hang out, get your beers, get your drinks, whatever it is, but you know what? The company has the simplicity of Square, and they give back to the community with 10% of all the proceeds that they bring in going back to community projects.
I love it. Sports and sports bars are so good at bringing together local communities, and you can actually take this ad as an excuse to go support your local spot and have yourself a day or a weekend in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. These businesses are what make the neighborhood the neighborhood. So visit square.com/go/foul to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Again, that's square.com/go/foul to learn more. New Nationals head honcho Paul Taboni says, F the rules. I'm going to hire a 33-year-old manager. Oh, and they say that he should have a bench coach who has managed before in MLB and been a long time member of a coaching staff or in a dugout. Well, we get the tweet here from our main man Ken Rosenthal here, FT Senior Insider, and reports for The Athletic that Michael Johns, the Rays first base coach the past 2 seasons, will be the bench coach for Blake Butera on the Nationals staff. Johns managed the Rays AAA club in 2023 and 5 other affiliates over 8 seasons. AJ, is that the right choice?
Sure.
Without knowing the person, is that the right choice
Sure.
to not have someone who's got the MLB experience?
Why not? He managed the Rays AAA club in 2013. Sure. Everyone wants to be part of the Rays. So why not? Sure. I mean, what do you want me to say? I don't know. But apparently the Rays are rebuilding after a rebuild in another
The Nats.
I don't know. I mean, sorry, the Nats. Sorry. The Rays, Nats. I mean, at this point, I'm getting them all confused because they're meshing like this, Scott. They're like one and the same. Nats, Rays. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, sure, this is great. I don't know. We're clearly not spending any money, so the learners want to sell the team, so at least we got that going for us. So you don't have money in the manager or the bench coach, so we'll see how it goes.
That's why Paul Taboni is smart, because he's going to get time to do this rebuild. And then by the time that his selections are ready to go, the team will be sold. And then he should get more resources. So I think it's actually smart on his part. I think he's going to do a good job, Taboni. I just think it's going to take time.
Yes.
It's nothing personal. It's David Samson joining us right now. David, great to see you again. You can check out his show. Great logo behind him. I listen to it almost every day, especially on the business front, sports biz, legal news, the whole deal. So very timely to have you on today, David. How you doing? And your thoughts on the weekend explosion of details related to Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, who likely will never be in Major League Baseball again.
Oh, good morning. I think it's more than likely. I think it's a guarantee they will never throw another pitch. I think that baseball is doing what they always do, which is they're going to continue their investigation, but they're going to wait and wait and wait to see what happens with this indictment. And the lawyers for the 2 players did not waste any time in ridiculous statements, decrying their innocence and that they love the game of baseball and would never do anything to harm it. And my view is that the reason I think they're finished, when they put down an indictment, the way it works is the U.S. district, the Southern District, the Eastern District, let's just say the prosecutors, they don't like indictments for cases they can't win. And so when they allow for an indictment, it's because they've got stuff. And whether it's the smoking gun or not, they have enough to show beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury of those men's peers that they did this. And so it's not that they're guilty until proven innocent. They are innocent until proven guilty. But all of these prosecutors keep a scorecard. I promise you that. And they don't like losing. So it is my understanding. We'll see how it plays out. But as far as their baseball careers, finished. And it really is too bad.
Hey, I've seen billions, okay, David? I've seen billions, so I know how. What's his name? Paul Giamavalo. He handles the prosecuting.
Giamatti.
They don't miss, okay? They don't miss. If this gets public and they're arresting people, they don't miss usually. So My question is will they plead? Can they plead this down? I know they're saying they're innocent, and we're assuming they're innocent because you're innocent until proven guilty. But is there a way to plead this down if they have all this all this evidence against you, saying, "Hey, you threw this pitch and you threw this pitch, and we have texts and we have calls," or do they just say, "You know what, we're going to fight this till the end"?
Oh no, they'd much rather not have to go to trial because it's a win when you if they're going to plea, you generally plead guilty and it's a deal. You get a deal, whether it's whatever time, if it's going to be probation, if it's going to be a year, if it's going to be 6 months. There was someone who wrote that it's possible to get 65 years because it's true with all the counts. What you do is you add up the maximum prison time for each count and they add up to 65 years. Well, I'll give it to you here so you have the scoop. It's a guarantee they will not be in prison for 65 years each. There will be some sort of, even if they are convicted, when they're sentenced, it still won't be 65 years. But you're right. What the lawyers do is they meet with the prosecutors and they talk about what kind of deal can be done because really there's incentive for both sides. It's very costly for Clase and Ortiz to defend themselves in court. And it's also costly for the people in terms of time that it takes to go all the way up through trial, up to sentencing. So every case, actually, both sides generally are looking to do a deal.
Players, past and present players, their visceral hate for gambling in the game because of the integrity that we lose integrity of the game. Do we need to change? I'm sure you remember the rule, was it Rule 61 or whatever? It's red
21.
in spring training. 21, thank you. It's red in spring training. Everybody reads it. AJ and I always talk about this. Oh, we heard it all the time. And it was something that kind of just went through the motions. Does Major League Baseball need to up their responsibility in making sure the players understand this? Or is this just a one-off? And then the one last year with some minor leaguers was a one-off. Like, do they need to do a better job?
I think your point is a very interesting one. And what I would say is when Rule 21 is read to you, here's what happens. Glazed eyes, doesn't apply to me, don't care about it. And then we have to read it in Spanish, no less. And then it's really glazed eyes for the players who don't speak Spanish. We all know right from wrong inside that clubhouse. The rule is we have to read it because we want the players never to say, oh, I didn't know that I couldn't do that. To me, the fact that gambling is legalized now and there are apps and there are partnerships that have accrued to the benefit of players because teams have more money and salaries are going up, et cetera, there is no excuse that your head is in the sand. You know when you're doing something wrong. Clase cannot say, oh, it's one pitch. I still love baseball. I still want to win. What's the difference between a ball and a strike? I'm just helping someone get a couple grand. The integrity of the game happens when Clase then loses money or someone pressures him into saying, it's not a pitch I'm interested in, it's the total. It's not the total, it's the game score. It's who wins, who loses. That's when you get into third rail integrity type stuff. And so the hope is that players and everyone involved in sports realizes that as a deterrent, when you are punished for life, that ought to be enough to tell you to stop doing this. But people continue to be stupid. And so I don't know how that changes. But I promise you guys, they're not going to take away gambling. They're not going to make it illegal. The apps aren't going to go away. The partnerships aren't going to go away. There's too much money at stake.
All right. I got to go here. I'm sorry. But I watched the Expos documentary, okay? I'm just going to go here. David, listen. I'm not saying you killed the Expos, but I was on the Twins at the same time, okay? And every week I had to go on a phone call about, contraction and the Expos. Did you know at the time that you had a backdoor deal to get the Marlins? Because I was on a phone call every week saying, oh, man, the Expos and the Twins are going to get contracted. Da-da-da-da-da. The owners don't really, I don't know if they don't want the team, but they were just like, it's a better deal for MLB if we lose two teams. So can you talk about, why wasn't that talked about in the documentary? Because contraction was a real thing, and I was on one of the teams that had to listen to that bull crap every week.
Well, the final vote was 28-2 in favor of contraction. And the two teams that voted against it were your Twins and my Expos.
Yeah,
and back then, the owner of your team was the richest owner in all of baseball, Carl Pohlad.
Yes.
And still there was no direct correlation to payroll because the team was losing money, et cetera. But back then, my interest was in protecting our space in the game. When I found out the contraction, and I thought it was real that they wanted to go to 28 teams, until I discovered, hold on, it's being used as leverage in a collective bargaining negotiation. The players need to be told that, hey, you could lose 50 jobs here. It's really more than 50 because of minor league systems, et cetera, but just start at 50. There's 50 jobs at stake. How do you feel about that? We need to change the economics of baseball right now. But after that vote was taken, I stood up in an owners meeting and I read a statement saying, hey, no contraction. We do not want to be contracted, even though the vote said that contraction was going to happen. And then at the time, you may not remember this, it wasn't the Red Sox. It was the California Angels who were being sold. That was the third team in the franchise swap. John Henry was going to sell the Marlins to Jeffrey Loria and buy the Angels from the Gene Autry family trust. But he couldn't get a deal done for the Angels, so he pivoted to the Red Sox, who were for sale, because it was the Yawkey Trust selling, and it was a whole auction for the Red Sox, but it was fixed so that John Henry would win that auction, get the Red Sox, we'd get the Marlins, and baseball would get the Expos, but not contract them, just move them to Washington 3 years later. That's how that deal went down. And why they didn't cover it in the documentary, I wasn't the director or the producer. I was simply interviewed for it, but there's a whole movie inside that franchise swap.
David, I've followed you for a long time. I will say on the doc, my favorite line was when you talked about the minority owners in the Expos and how they couldn't find money anywhere to help with the team, yet they had lots of money for lawyers. Lots of money for lawyers. For me, that was eye-opening, for real, because I'm trying to learn as much as I can. That was a time for me when I was young, and I was like, yeah, that is funny. They paid millions of dollars for lawyers that they couldn't help their own city and their franchise. So thank you for that line. That definitely helped a lot.
Let me just remind the audience that when the Expos were sold, the price was 18 million Canadian dollars. And that sounds like a lot of money to 99.99% of the people, and I get it. But to the people who are the limited partners of the Expos, their wealth and their prominence and their view of Montreal, I never would have been in the game. Jeffrey Loria never would have been in the game because the goal was to sell to a Canadian. Anybody who could fog up a mirror, and there were a lot of people who could, and all I had to come up with was 18 million, and it was crickets. I'm talking about nobody. That's how Jeffrey Loria got the Expos, because it was the final. Nobody else wanted them. Side note, no one wanted the Marlins either. John Henry wanted out, and we said, well, what do you got? And Larry Lucchino was sent to Florida by Bud Selig. And Larry Lucchino said, hey, the Marlins can't make it in Miami. No one can get a stadium done. Huizinga tried, Henry tried. And so they came up to us and said, hey, do you want to upgrade from the Expos to the Marlins? But it's not really an upgrade. And we said, well, we'll try it. And the rest is history.
The next thing you know, David, you guys could have owned the Yankees if you guys would have just kept going down the line, right? Eventually, you guys could have been Yankees or Dodgers owners if you guys gave up too quick. You put that statue out there in left field, which I liked, and then you guys gave up. But what I want to know is, can baseball work in Montreal? Because you watch this documentary, everyone says, "Oh, we love the Expos." There's this fan base that says we love the Expos. But can it work if they get a new stadium? Because expansion, Rob Manfred wants expansion. But is Montreal a viable alternative? Because I don't think that it is. After watching the documentary and hearing the stories you've told, I don't know that it's a viable option.
So first, you need a deep-pocketed Quebecois. You need someone, a French-Canadian, or anyone who lives in Montreal to want to be the general partner, want to be the owner of the team. Then you need a publicly financed ballpark. And the reason you need that is Major League Baseball wants to charge a really high expansion fee to any ownership group who gets a team. And from an ownership group standpoint, they don't care where the money goes. If they're going to spend $2 billion to get a franchise, if $1.6 billion goes to Major League Baseball and $400 million goes to the stadium, to them, it's still $2 billion. But from baseball's standpoint, they want all $2 billion going into baseball. And so all of these expansion cities and they're going to keep them all alive until they're going to have a negotiation against each other. It's going to be a bake-off, one city against another. So you're never going to hear Rob Manfred say, oh, that city's been eliminated. No one's going to get eliminated until a deal is done. And it's in the best interest of the owners to have a fully funded stadium. Can Montreal do that? To me, it just seems unlikely because the government has never been willing to do a public-private partnership. But that, to me, is the number one requirement. Well, 1A. One is to find an owner who's local. 2 is to have a fully funded ballpark.
David, if you can, give us 2 minutes because we fell a little bit behind today. A quick break and then a couple more topics to get to. I definitely want to hear your take on Depodesta and a couple other things. So be right back. Kratz Pop Quiz. What has 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, comes in excellent flavors like, of course, chocolate, vanilla, but chocolate peanut butter, my favorite, no added sugar, gluten-free, under $5 per meal, and is ready to drink.
Go out the house, get yourself a Huel. Look at you. You even have one right there. Ready to smack that, John? Chocolate peanut butter, chocolate, and vanilla. Deliciosos.
Also, there is a new Daily Greens ready to drink, 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories on that one, 4 grams of fiber. There's flavors like blueberry, apple, peach. Huel makes healthy eating simple. They also just launched into Target stores nationwide. Try both products today with 15% off your purchase for new customers with the code FOUL at huel.com/FOUL. Use that code FOUL and fill out the post-checkout survey to help support FT. Back for a minute and a half here, and then the TV crowd will come back so we can continue our conversation with David Samson. Thanks everyone for sticking around. You see on this MLB Rumors title here from CBS Sports, Padres close to extending GM AJ Preller. That was coming out via The Athletic from Dennis Lin. It sounds like during the intro press conference for Greg Stammen, they also are going to talk about Preller getting an extension. It's actually pretty controversial if you go off fans. I think he's had a lot of success bringing the team to the postseason. I mean, Dodger fans are like, oh, just have him keep leading you to losses, whatever. Do we forget the Padres were not good for most of their existence? And they've had a lot of playoff relevancy. I know more teams make the playoffs now, but Pierzynski, I think Preller overall is doing a good job keeping the team exciting and putting butts in seats.
He's done a great job. You know why? Because he has a great name. First of all, he has a great first name. Second of all, he's done good, but they haven't won. They haven't gotten the ultimate prize, right? They haven't been able to beat the Dodgers. They haven't been able – they did in 22, but they haven't been able to get the ultimate prize, which is the World Series. And he's done a really good job with what he's been dealt with. And the best part about A.J. Preller is he's not afraid to go for it. He is not afraid to go for it. He goes for it. He goes for it. And as a fan and as a Padres fan, you have to love the fact that he goes for it.
And some of those signings were more Peter Seidler, you know, when he was sick, like Bogarts and others. So. All right, we're back with David Samson. Thanks for hanging around here. TV crowd is back. David, next up for you, I want to get to Jim Murray, agent who had dealings with MLB and a pretty explosive story, and your thoughts on how, I mean, he was essentially a mole for MLB during their conversations during what was like a mini CBA, basically, to get baseball back in 2020. I'm assuming you saw the story. What are your thoughts? And the MLB side was like, oh, people always talk back and forth. That seems like a little more than just a friendly conversation.
Well, he just got caught, is what happened. But during the course of negotiations and in between bargaining agreements, there's a rule that owners aren't supposed to talk to the press. Owners aren't supposed to talk to players. We were all talking to everyone always because you're trying to help. You're trying to get information. Am I shocked that there was a double agent, double entendre, pun required and meant? No, not at all. There's people from both sides using the media. There's people from both sides looking for ways through the executive council to speak to players, to get messages out there. Scott Boras is doing stuff all the time, trying to make his presence felt. So all of that is very normal. I think the reason why you saw the hammer fall so hard on Murray is they're entering into a negotiation now. And it is critical that Tony Clark and Bruce Meyer look like they've got the ship contained, because there was a coup attempt and they were able to withstand it. They're still in charge, but it's a huge negotiation that's starting. So they want at least the appearance of control. Same thing for the commissioner and the commissioner's office. You're going to see owners much quieter now. You're going to see rules put into place, but you're going to see back channeling all the time. When you look at which owners are on the negotiating committee and will actually be in the room where it happens, they're chosen for a reason. Their ability to negotiate, their ability to communicate. It is a big dance that goes on between management and players every time. And I think you guys know that. And that dance is starting right now.
All right, David, I'm going to show you a video and then we're going to talk, okay? So we're going to run a video here and then we're going to have a conversation. So we're going to run this video.
I figured the union had to strategize how they'd respond. And I must tell you, I did not think that their response would be Bruce Meyer going on Foul Territory. Now, of course, you know that Foul Territory is a show that is funded by the union. And I love Foul Territory. They're my friends, been on it. And I want them on my show. But let's be clear, those are players, and that is a union show, which is totally important and needed, and their point of view is critical, and it's a popular show. You had me at Foul.
Okay. Two things. First of all,
I love
quit trying to copy my beard. Quit trying to copy my beard with the gray in the bottom, okay? Like, it's cool. I get it. But the second thing is we are not funded by the Players Association. So I want you to understand that we are not funded at all. We are in the middle. Are we players? And do we lean towards players? 100%. But we are not funded at all by the Players Association, nor have we ever been. So I want to make that clear. And I appreciate you shouting us out. And I also appreciate the fact that Bruce Meyer came on here, because at least he got to talk somewhere. Because my biggest beef with the Players Association is they never say anything. They never stand up for what they need to stand up for. It's Rob Manfred and his media conglomerate of boom, boom, we're going to throw all this stuff out there. And the Players Association's like, oh, we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. At least Bruce Meyer came on here and talked about something.
So, AJ, let me first say that thank you, and I'm wrong. So the funding, that was a bridge too far. I think the better way to have framed it is the same way people view nothing personal, is that, wow, he's carrying the water for the owners and for the commissioner. I think if people were looking at our two shows, the reason why they're both so important is that between us, we pretty much cover everything and want our audience, and we respect our audience and want them to not be led to a conclusion. We want them to be led to an education. And I think that you guys have done an amazing job of that, and I think Nothing Personal does that as well. I think, though, when Rob Manfred is choosing what he does, just like when Bruce Meyer is choosing what he does, those choices are purposeful. And I don't blame him for choosing you. He should choose you. It's smart of him to have chosen you. But can I get you to at least agree that if you sent out an invite to the commissioner to come on the show, or to Tony Clark or Bruce Meyer to come on the show, that it's more likely that you'll get people from the Players Association?
Okay, I'm just going to say this, David. We've had Tony Clark on. We've had Bruce Meyer on. I have gone through all the hoops to get Rob Manfred on. I have jumped through hoop after hoop after hoop, had Zoom calls with him, talked to Pat Courtney, talked to his secretary, and you know what? They cancel at the last second. I've texted Rob Manfred. He don't respond. So the answer to your question is yes, we've tried both. We tried to have Rob Manfred on. He canceled last time. It was January of last year. I was in New York. I was ready to go. And I got a text from Pat Courtney saying, you know what? He's too busy. Okay. Well, then why the hell did I jump through hoops, have a Zoom call, have this call to get to a point? Whereas Tony Clark has been on, and Bruce Meyer, if I text Bruce Meyer right now, he might not come on, but at least he'll give me someone that can talk about issues.
So, AJ, I think it's going to be a little different, this negotiation. It would not shock me if you get someone from the commissioner's office. A, you have an important show, and B, you have an important audience. And C, you're cool, all of you guys. So I think that the strategy for the commissioner's side is going to be a little different this time. I think they're going to want to get the word out because podcasts have become, and it wasn't always this way. And I've been going for 6 years. It's really changed. Think about the way political candidates use podcasts now in a way that they never did before. I think the world has changed, and I think you have to be willing to go on, quote unquote, both kinds of shows, both sides, with players, with management. So keep going. I think you're going to succeed during this bargaining sort of time frame.
Yeah, that's good. Then that's true. That's the point, is like, we want people to know neutral. We talked about Players Way and that whole story just like you did the other day, and that investigation that's going on right now. We had Evan Drellick on. We literally said, hey, we've got two stories. One makes one side not look good. One makes the other side not look good. Let's get into it. So we are trying our best to be as neutral as possible. On my part and the team behind the scenes, we can only ask, which we'll continue to do. Hey, we would love to have you on. But it's also not our obligation to not allow one side to come on our show if the other side doesn't come on. Both sides should come on our show and talk to us. Yeah, I mean,
no
the
doubt.
Invites have been out there. So I'm with you. We will definitely keep trying, and there shouldn't be anything to hide. And I give Rob credit. I mean, he's done more interviews over the past couple of years. I have no idea why he won't come on our show. We definitely cover topics that they don't love, but he went on Barstool. They're not going to get this nitty gritty on some of the stuff that we're asking, but I agree. It would do a lot of good PR if he came on here and actually went on a place where he feels like you're going to get neutral questions and not one-sided questions.
And listen, Rob is good enough. He's been around the block enough that anyone who you interview, if they're good, they can bridge to whatever it is they want to say. They can respond however they want to respond to any question, even if it's not a direct answer to your question. I think people in the media have that experience when I'm interviewed. If I don't want to, I never create a headline that I don't know I'm creating. I always have my mouth behind my brain, so I know what I'm saying. And so when you're being interviewed, it's your choice what you're going to give, what you're not going to give, what you're going to say. So I think you're right. I think keep asking and you're going to get them.
Thank you. And yeah, just again, for clarification, neither side owns a penny. We're independent as hell and we love it, just like you, because then we can say whatever the heck we want.
And I had it wrong, and I don't remember that. I don't know if that was last year. Whenever that was, I had it wrong, and I used corrections. I make mistakes. I'm live every day, 2 hours. Boy, do I make mistakes, and I try to correct them. And I get calls from people on both sides. I get plenty of calls from ownership and plenty of calls from the players' side and on the business side, and I'll make the correction because, as you know, with the microphone, you can't be right 100% of the time. It's impossible.
No, exactly. Same here. I talk to people way more now than I did when I did work for the league. Agents, people calling, hey, can you clarify this, whatever. So anyway, all right, two more things to hit with you. One is the Braves are the only team that we really get a full-fledged look at finances. So my question for you, and I know you've talked about this recently on your show, is every team trying to be the Rays, the Braves, or a little bit of both, and it depends which kind of owner you are?
I've never met an owner in my 18 years who was writing himself dividend checks so he could fund a vacation to Europe or buy a painting or buy a yacht. I just never saw it, and we saw the numbers. And by the way, the union has the numbers too, I should say, and you know that. So who would I rather be? I would rather be the team that has a chance to win every year and that wins rings. Now, I'd rather do it at a profit. I'd rather do it. I think MLB is starting. Get ready. They're releasing the fact that teams are getting crushed. They're losing money left, right, and center. And so there's going to be a lot of this back and forth. So you're asking me what I'd rather be? I'm not a 501c3. I want to make money and I want to win. And too many years, I put winning at the expense where I would sign players or bring players in that would add to our losses, thinking we're one player away. And every year but one, it didn't work. And so at the end, what would I prefer? I prefer to win and make money, but maybe that's too much to ask.
You're funny, David. You know what? You can't get the owner out of you. I just can't get the owner out of you. Losing money. Who's losing money? The game, all you hear is about the game is growing and the ratings are up and this and that.
AJ?
Yeah, so you're such an owner, David. I love it.
AJ,
that's why I have
love
you on, because I love it.
I love you too, but I'm talking about operationally. It is true that no team has ever been sold at a loss. It's also true that no team has ever been sold where all of the money that was lost year over year was not recouped by the person who sold. All of that is true, but it doesn't change the fact that operationally the teams lose money. So we can both be right. And I give this example to you and your family. Your house may be worth more today than it was when you bought it, but that increase in value doesn't help pay your property taxes. You need to have the cash from somewhere. And baseball, some owners have a cash problem.
True, because they don't know what they're doing. But that's a whole, we don't have enough time. Because I got a quick question for you. The Cleveland Browns lost their GM to the Colorado Rockies, Paul Depodesta. What are we doing?
Not GM, but yeah.
No, not
Chief
GM.
Strategy Officer.
Yes, sorry.
Much better
but,
name.
Like, what are we? And Cleveland Brown fans cheered their asses off when they lost this guy. Is this the right move for the Rockies?
Boy, you know the Rockies. You both do on this call. We all do on this call. They're a different kind of organization from top to bottom. And Paul Depodesta, he certainly was a shiny nickel once upon a time, way before Jonah Hill played him on Moneyball. And the question is, does he have any sort of advantage anymore? Because in the old days he did, but everyone's caught up to him. Everyone's caught up to what was going on. It's 30 teams doing it. And as you know, like with the infield shift, when only one team's doing it, it's really cool. When 30 teams do it, you lose sort of the incremental advantage. Paul Depodesta was not running the Browns the way he will have to with the Rockies. And the question is, I mean, he's used to losing. We know that. The question is, can he take the Rockies and work with the Monforts, who never go outside their organization? This is like the first time in decades that they're going with someone outside the organization. Will that person, Depodesta, have the power to do something? And who is going to be around him to do it? Because as you also know, it's not the president of baseball operations who's on the front line doing the scouting, who's inside the analytics department. They're just the decision maker on the top. They're not really doing much. So he's got to have an organization and the resources to really do stuff and then be right. And I think that's going to take some time, if at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm skeptical. I agree. I'm happy that it's at least somebody outside the org to be like, this is a little bit dated, but we'll see. We'll follow it and bring you back on to talk about it. Great catch up, David. Good to see you. And we'll catch you soon, okay?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your well wishes and everything else you've done for me. Have a great day.
By the way,
Thank you all.
David, I'll be in South Florida soon, so you feel free to buy me dinner anytime. Okay, thanks.
I live in New York, but I'm in. Thank you, AJ. Love you, man.
There you go. Thank you, David. Nothing personal with David Samson. He talks about all these topics, so check it out. YouTube, pod, the whole deal. Hey, we're back. Nick Hundley is about to join us. We see all your questions in the chat. We will definitely ask him about all of that. Let me get this Jon Heyman tweet fired up, because this is a topic we will get to later with one of our guests who is going to specialize in some of the talent coming over from Japan. Seibu Lions say they're going to post star pitcher Tatsuya Imai, the righty who throws up to 99 miles per hour, should be one of the top 3 free agent pitchers, according to Jon Heyman. He puts Dylan Cease and Framber Valdez up there as well. I think Ranger Suarez might have a beef to pick, a bone to pick. But anyway, this is going to be a highly coveted pitcher, and it is perfect timing because we just saw what some other talent from Japan has done really well in the World Series. Yamamoto, obviously Ohtani, right? Like, clearly, AJ, we're getting talent over from Japan that is showing us maybe more success than ever, aside from just those 2 superstars. There are plenty of talented players in Japan right now that are coming over and having instant success.
All right, we'll see him in LA.
You think they're all going to sign in LA? Not Murakami.
Maybe.
He's not going to sign. Murakami, I know you guys talked about him a little Friday. We're going to do a lot more on him. He's not going to sign with the Dodgers. I don't think he is.
I know. I'm just saying. Am I? How do you say it?
Tatsuya
Am I going to sign with the Dodgers? Am you going to sign with the Dodgers? I don't know. But
I think he's got a shot.
The Dodgers.
Yeah.
Okay.
172 strikeouts in 104 innings. That's what he had this past year.
$200 million. I think he might get close to $200 million.
He's not as refined. He's not as refined command-wise as Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but
it keeps getting better.
Right. Can they continue his trend of throwing more strikes? We'll see.
He's going to get a lot of money. He's a little older coming into free agency than Yamamoto is. I think Imai's 27, but if Yamamoto got 350 And even if this is pegged as a number 2 or 3 starter versus a 1 at this age, I think we might be pushing 200 million. Maybe I'm off, but I think that's what we're looking at. I believe he's repped by Boris too. We'll get into it a little bit later in the show. Nick Hundley joining us next. It's a 4-guest day on FT. All right, Ranger Special Assistant and former big league catcher Nick Hundley joining us right now. Nick, great to have you on the show. And of course, you've got the AJ Kratz Day, so you've got a lot of catchers on this screen. How you doing and welcome?
I'm great. I'm not coming on if it's not catcher day. So
That's fair.
We lined it up.
Every day is catcher day on here, Nick, by the way. Just FYI.
Just
Every day is
about.
catcher day on here.
that's why you guys are going off,
Just about every day. Okay, so Nick, first off, busy little time period for you just now. How was some of the interview processes going for you during this time? And then, how do you wind up back to where you are right now? I know for you, when you've been weighing things, some of it definitely has been based on what you're looking at, location, family, the whole deal. So would love to get your take.
Yeah, it's been a wild month for sure. Never really thought about managing until about a month ago when Buster called me, said I'd love for you to come get some experience, go through this process with us in San Fran. I love the Bay, love Buster, the type of person he is, the leader, one of my favorite teammates of all time. So I was like, yeah, let's go through it. He got pretty serious there, and we had to make a decision as a family. Hey, would this work? Would it at this stage with my girls? They're 12 and 9, and it's such an awesome time to be with them, take them to school, tuck them in, hang out. So, went a different route. Went through a couple of days of, I don't know if it's called mourning or what, but I was like, man, that was an awesome opportunity up there. But, loved everything about San Fran and Buster. And then went through this Padres process a couple weeks, and that was great to go through too. And so good experience for sure, but really figuring out what you want to do and where you want to go with your career. It's been a good month.
All right, Nick. So I got to ask, did you actually get an offer? And what did you do so right? Because Kratz is begging for a job. So he wants to know what you did so right so he can get these interviews, because he can't get an interview. So what did you do so right? And did the Giants actually offer you the job? Because if they did, man, you're impressive you turned it down.
No, I think Kratz is doing a great job where he's at. I think you're in a great spot. I had a lot of conversation with Buster. They never offered me the job. I ended up taking myself out of it before that, and just had to be honest with them. I didn't want to go up there and continue the process if they offered me and I wasn't going to be all in and accept it. So I told him, hey, if I go up there and meet with you another couple times, I'll take it if you offer it to me. But if I'm not 100%, I'm not going to come up there and continue this process. So no, never got to that stage. But it was interesting to go through and tough to pull out of it for sure.
All right. Well, we only work in facts on this show, and what AJ was just spitting was not facts. So I could care less about that job. You are at the same stage as I am. You want to be home with the kids, and we don't all have the popularity that AJ had to be able to just be front and center and be the prancing pony. We were kind of the backup guy that just kind of learned the ropes behind the scenes, right, Nick?
Yeah, it takes a lot to be able to go out there and play every day. I was fortunate to do it a couple of years of my career, not as many as AJ, but I really enjoyed that. And I'm glad he's on TV now. When I was playing, people used to say he had a face for radio, but I disagreed. I said, hey, if there's one guy that can be on TV, it's him. Just don't put him next to better looking people than him. And they didn't listen, because Wainwright and those guys are way better looking than him, but that's all right.
Okay, well that's why they got me on the show, because now he is definitely the second best looking guy on this show, and I'm third, so it's fine. But I want to know the difference between the two managerial interview process, or like the steps that you got to. The Giants are at a different stage than the Padres are. Buster's your buddy. I mean, I know the affinity that Buster had, because the year after you left San Fran, I came into San Fran. He wanted you to come back. They didn't want you back. They went and got a rental in me. So I know how much Buster likes you as a person. So you're going to an interview essentially with a buddy. Then you're going in an interview with the Padres, who, AJ Preller's there. He's been a GM forever. How different was that process? And were they asking any significantly different questions that you were like, oh, didn't really think about that?
Yeah. First off, I was with San Fran 17, 18, and then I thought I was going to be there for a couple more years and then shut it down. Farhan offered me a
Uh-oh. We froze.
Farhan offered him Gabe Kapler's job, and he got let go.
It wasn't. We'll have to re-rack it, because I want to hear his side of it, because I heard it from Buster what Farhan offered him. So I want people to know, because he should have been back there. I didn't even go to spring training with the Giants. They traded for me until Voter got healthy, but they liked my receiving, and they were like, Farhan was like, I don't know, Nick. But if you go back and look at what Nick did for that team, it's hard to believe they didn't bring him back on I won't bury the lead, but he'll tell you what their offer was, which was a little disrespectful.
Okay. We will get back to him hopefully soon.
I had a couple good questions, because well, first of all, Brian Anderson, who he played with in college, told me he was the best catcher he'd ever seen, and I was like, wait a second, BA. First of all, you're blind because you forgot about me, but we're going to dig into that. And then second of all, I wanted to know about Craig Stammen being in the interview room when he was getting interviewed, and now he's the manager of the Padres. Like, wait, you can get the answers to the test before you get to take the test? This sounds like cheating.
Here's what we're going to do. I agree. I have many more questions for Nick, although I'd rather you guys ask them. While we try and get Nick back, let's swing a quick break, because also we still have to get to Erik Longenhagen. I'm not going to be able to say this name. Longenhagen. Hey, I nailed the Japanese players that are coming through here whose names we haven't said much yet. So I got Tatsuya.
Am I signing with the Dodgers? Am I?
Remember when, who was it? Well, you Darvish used to get that, I guess, sometimes. Like
you? Am I? You? Am I? There's a commercial there for some
play on words. All right, get us out of here.
Soldier boy, you.
We're cool.
Aura. Hey, we're back. So, AJ, we didn't have you for the first 2 minutes of the show. So what I would like
my mic broke, Scott. Don't yell at me.
No. I'm doing this because we missed you Friday. I wasn't on Friday either, and there were a lot of good topics. So your thoughts on the Rockies hiring Depodesta, the Rays not keeping Pete Fairbanks to at least trade him, where I think he'll get more in free agency. And we can get to the qualifying offer. I have a couple questions there too. But on those two, thoughts?
First of all, Pete, I hope you get every dollar. I text him, and I'm like, I hope you get every dollar and buy lots of Legos and have a great career, because $11 million is not a lot for a really good closer. And then second of all, Paul Depodesta, Jonah Hill nailed him in Moneyball. He was mad because they made Jonah Hill fat, and he's not fat. So I remember Paul Depodesta was mad about that. But that's just one of many not actual facts that happened in that movie that people love so much. And second of all, I need to call my buddy that owns the Browns and find out if he's really mad that they got rid of him or not, because I haven't done that. So I don't know. But, hey, whatever. At least the Rockies went outside the Rocky box.
Yeah, the Browns have 2 losses per every win since he's been behind the scenes, the front office.
How do you go? This ranks right up there with Jerry Krause. Remember Jerry Krause was a baseball guy and he went to basketball, and he had Michael Jordan. He's like, oh, look how great of a executive I am in basketball. I mean, yes, you know what, Scott? I could run the Bulls when they have Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, Bill Cartwright. Like, I could have probably won a championship, and Phil Jackson. Just saying.
Horace Grant.
Horace Grant was in Orlando Magic. Don't ever forget that. Kratz.
A sport where there are 5 players on the court at one time, and one player can have the ball most of the time.
All the time. And he's also the best player of all time.
All
time. And can do so many things and take all the shots. Yeah, that's usually a good way to go.
Rockies are a tougher project. Tougher project for the Rockies.
Because when they have the ball goes out of the park a lot.
Correct. It'll be fun. I like the out-of-the-box hires for us as a show. It's fun to cover all these people coming from different spots. So anyway, Nick Hundley is back. So we'll get to him in just a second. Okay, Nick Hundley is back. Kratz, re-rack your question so we can stay on time here.
All right, nice phone.
Sorry
Nick.
about that, guys.
But the question, you started to get to the point where, and I wanted you to say the Farhan Zaidi part of that, the offer that they made you after being there in 17 and 18, and just about how that whole process of the managerial process was different for both teams.
Yeah, so, they offered me a minor league deal coming back. I just told them, hey, thanks. I feel like we've been, married for 2 years and you want me to date you again. So I said, I'm not coming back on that deal. Thankfully they got somebody good or, to come back in and be better than me and you, Kratzy, and went to Oakland. So the managerial side in terms of differences, I think they're both in very similar spots. I mean, they're both really good organizations, have had a lot of success in the past. Both looking to get over the hump, both spending money, have all-star players, both ready to try to go win. So from a strategy standpoint, it was pretty similar in terms of, hey, what do you think we need to do in the offseason? What do we think this organization needs to get over the hump? Who would you bring in staff-wise? What are some non-negotiables? All that very, very similar things. Leadership styles, just trying to, get comfortable. And I think kind of how AJ and the Padres went about hiring Craig Stammen was probably very similar to the comfort level that I had with Buster in San Fran. He had been a Padre for a long time playing, and then been in the front office with them. So I think that was a great hire on that end, and he's going to do a good job because there's a lot of familiarity there.
First of all, Nick, the fact that you insult me after Brian Anderson is one of your best friends on earth, that's insulting to everybody involved, okay? Because that's
Did
awful.
he tell you that? Hey, there's two sides to every story. You can't believe what he said.
I'm just telling you, you guys used to go to Meat Market all the time in Tucson and hang out. I don't even know what that means, but I'm just saying, I don't even know what that is. But I'm just saying that Brian Anderson said you're one of his best friends.
He's lucky if I text him back. Just let him know.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, that makes 2 of us. So thank you. But now you brought it up. You brought up Stammen, right? So Stammen was in the interview process while you're going through it, and then he gets hired as the manager. Like, is that knowing the answers to the test? Because was Preller like, well, we tried all these other guys, and now, oh, Craig, you've been in the interview. Why don't we ask you the same questions, and you know the answers? So let's see if you can do that. Like, that was one of the things that confused me, was if he was in the interview process and then he becomes a manager, doesn't that seem like he already knew the answers to the questions?
You know what? That seems a little off, but I've known Craig for a long time, and he actually called me after he got the job and apologized for that. And I have a lot of respect for him, and I know the timeline of it. I know they asked him to interview. He initially declined. Was on the Zoom calls with me and the other candidates, and went through that process. And then they asked him again, and he said yes. So I totally understand that it looks a little weird from the outside. But talking to him, he's a guy that I trust. I know who he is. I know who he believes in, and I know for sure that he wouldn't do something like that And I think all of us at some point were.
Sheesh.
No. Nick.
Maybe he's getting another call. Maybe he's getting a call from the Rangers where he has to go back and work at.
What are they asking?
Bench coach.
I would love to be Skip Schumacher's bench coach.
He just heard. Yeah, there it is. Finally, we got him to admit that he wants a job. We finally got to admit. No, we just
want to
finally
hang
got
out
to
with
admit.
Skip. If Skip would go coach at a high school somewhere, I would love to hang out with Skip.
You could just be Skip's friend.
Yeah, but it'd be so cool. He's so good looking to be able to just hang out and watch him and look at him all the time. It's like candy for your eyes.
See? Kratz always denies it, but we finally got him to admit it, Scotty. He wants a job. We finally got him to admit it on the show.
Okay.
If Skip asked him right now to be his bench coach, he would say no. Kiddos at home.
What did he just said? He just said how awesome it would be to stare into Skip's eyes every time he makes a pitching change. I mean, he just said it. You can't say that, Scott.
I would love it. Some of us have heroes, AJ. You get a chance to hang out with your hero. That's it.
I'm hanging out with my heroes right now. Folds of Honor golf tournament, guys that have served in the military on Veterans Day. Like, yeah, I'm here with my heroes. Like the guy 1 year ago today, I jumped out of an airplane. The guy I saw that was all strapped to my back, he's here. He's a hero of mine, right?
He's probably had back surgery too.
He's back. One more question. One more question for Nick, because then he's got to get somewhere.
Maybe I should have taken one of those jobs so I can buy a new phone.
I was going to say, maybe we need
Tell Rich Rice. Tell Rich Rice you need upgraded Wi-Fi.
Calling him.
All right, last question for you. The hiring that Buster ended up having, going to get Vitello, somebody with zero big league experience. As ex-players, you sit there and you go, ugh. But for me, when I was asked when he first got hired, I said, if Buster wants to hire him, I'm all on board.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Buster has as good a feel as anybody there is in the game. And I think he's kind of shortchanged by how good he was, honestly. Like, he was such a good baseball player and so talented that his vision and his knowledge, I mean, how many no-hitters did he catch? How many perfect games? The stuff that he does off the field, he's got unbelievable feel. So I think it's kind of tough. Well, you got.
I caught a perfect game. I caught a no-hitter. I caught a perfect game. I mean, I'm not a president of baseball ops. I caught one. He hadn't caught more perfect games than me. I caught one. I caught a no-hitter.
I think he caught one.
I don't know how many. Okay, so we're even. So why am I not president of baseball ops? I can hire you, Nick. I wouldn't. I'd hire someone else, but I would at least interview you.
Yeah. I wouldn't hire you as my president of baseball ops either.
Yes.
That is crap because I have a perfect game and I have a no-hitter, so that is crap.
Oh, AJ wants a job. AJ wants a job. Get AJ a job, Nick.
Come on.
Okay?
I'm actually, hey,
listen.
That's why my phone stinks. I'm driving to the GM meetings right now, going to Vegas, driving through the desert. So I'll go lobby for you. Text me your resume, AJ. I'll go talk to the 30 GMs and presidents. And, I want other ththings than your stats, too, because I can look up your stats. I don't care about how many home runs you hit. Give me your resume, and I'll send it to the group.
Here's what it is, Nick. Here's my resume. Check my baseball reference. That's it.
That's not a resume.
What do you mean that's not a resume? If he just said Buster Posey gets less value because he caught a no-hitter in a perfect game, well, then we're on the same level.
No, he gets dinged for it. He doesn't get enough credit for how smart he is because of how good a baseball player he was. Like, he was such a talented player. Like, he was so talented. Everybody's like, oh, he's just really good. Like, no, he's like super visionary, super bright, sees the game incredibly well, knows people. Like, just because he's more talented than everybody else, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit in terms of his vision and his knowledge. So if he hires somebody,
is going to Florida State like going to Arizona like dings you the wrong way, or does that ding you down or up?
Yeah, no, it's like the Harvard of the Southeast, just like Tucson's the Harvard of the Southwest.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, Brian
Hey,
Anderson
it's
went to
tough
Arizona.
to
Let's
get in.
slow that roll. Let's slow that roll down.
That's because he got in-state tuition. He lived right there.
True. Hey, we got to
Yep.
jump.
Nope.
I know you do too. The last thing, Nick, when you're passing out AJ's resume, show the owners how many followers and subscribers his show has. Maybe that will help his cause
True.
if they're unaware of
I
foul
love it.
territory.
Well, next time my phone won't cut out 10 times, we'll do it.
Yes. And also
Yes.
make sure you tell how many perfect games and no-hitters I almost had. Because then, I mean, gosh,
Yeah.
it's done.
Well, you almost
Done.
hey, you tried to mess up the one you had.
Yes,
You tried
I
to
did,
box
but
that
I
ball
didn't.
to backstop.
True, but I didn't. But I didn't.
You didn't.
But I
You
didn't.
didn't. You're right.
But
That's
I
good.
didn't.
You got
That's
those
good. You
hands like a
remembered.
deer.
That's right. Skillet. I always had the skillet back there. I could knock that shit
Yeah.
down. Oops, sorry.
Nick, this
Hey.
was great. Thank you for joining us. Yes, when you're not mobile, we'll get you back. Okay. Hope you enjoyed it, man.
All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. Thanks, fellas.
You're good. Safe travels. That's Nick Hundley. Be right back. We're going to talk with Erik Longenhagen about some of the exceptional, I think, Japanese talent coming through. Hey, we're back. Busy
was
show
great.
today. That was great.
That was great.
There's some beef about awards. So let's show at least one of these tweets and then we'll get the other in there if we have time. Otherwise, we can put it in another one of these breaks. First one is from Lou Merloni. He said, the Platinum Glove is decided by the fans, not 10%. So then coaches, players, front offices can really pick the winners. There's no way any postseason award in any sport should be decided by a fan vote. I had no idea people take these awards seriously. Apparently MLB doesn't. So there is a lot of outrage online. Tatis won Platinum Glove in the National League, and there's like a ton of players from most metrics above him. A ton in the National League.
Is this true?
I mean, if Lou's tweeting about it, he's pretty dialed in, I guess. I don't pay attention a lot to the process for those. I'm very dialed in on BBWAA, which are the real major awards out there. But
What do you mean? They crushed the Gold Gloves. They put them on a Sunday night while Sunday Night Football was going on. Nobody even knew they were given out. Wait, what? And they did the same thing with the Silver Sluggers, which I guess isn't that big of a deal for Louisville Slugger or Rawlings. But yeah, I didn't even know. I mean, this is. I liked it better when the coaches got to vote on all this stuff, and now it's kind of been given to the fans and front offices. And I mean, come on, I don't know.
fan vote for awards is tough. All-Star, I get it. Awards, that's tough. Fans are going to often treat things like a popularity contest, which is their right. Why are they? If you're a Padres fan and they do a great job voting, they're all going to vote for Tatis. They're not going to be like, I crunched the numbers, and Patrick Bailey actually deserves it. How many fans are going to do that if they're a Padres fan?
No chance.
No chance.
No chance. It demeans a little bit of the Platinum Glove, and I think the other years the Platinum Glove did go to the highest rated defender based on a couple different metrics. So the fan voting, I'm reading it here. It says fans and the Society of American Baseball Research vote for the Platinum Glove Award. It's a combination of fan voting and sabermetrics, essentially Saber Defensive Index, determining the winner for each league. I think they got it wrong this year, but I mean, it doesn't mean that Fernando Tatis didn't have a good year. I think they missed it, and that's okay. Sometimes you miss this stuff.
Okay, Erik Longenhagen is here, Fangraphs lead prospect analyst, put out a really good article about a week and a half ago documenting what we should expect from some of the players coming over from Japan in this free agent process. Erik, great to have you on. I'm going to focus really on two players during this conversation. Let us begin with Munetaka Murakami. And the reason I want to bring him up first is because he's a big deal out in Japan. He's got the home run record set in 2022, 56 homers. Yet, if you look online, there are a lot of very smart analysts and writers who think that he might end up being the next Joey Gallo in Major League Baseball with a 9-figure contract. So let's just go right to the good stuff. What do you think about Murakami?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you guys. I think if he ends up having a career similar to Joey Gallo, that you'd call that a win. Like a guy who has 3 40-homer seasons in the big leagues would be a pretty good outcome for someone who is swinging and missing as much as Murakami has been. Left-handed power like this is so rare and special, and you can swing and miss a lot. And as long as you're getting to your power, you're a productive and, sometimes exceptional big leaguer. But the list of players whose contact metrics are more in lockstep with Murakami's, in the big leagues over the last, however you want to break it up, 5 years, 10 years, you want like a big enough sample of guys who have had, a fairly long career, but they're, quad A type players some of the time. They're players who, once they start getting expensive, they go to Japan. They're players who, once they hit ARB 4, 5, 6, they maybe get non-tendered. Your Franmil Reyes is, players like that. So that's what, we're looking at with Murakami, where there's so much swing and miss. As you get into the splits, like some of the splits that I would be looking at for players coming over from Korea or Japan, to see how they perform against better velocity, to see how, they do, chase-wise from a play discipline standpoint, or splits against different specific secondary pitch types. It all gets a little worse and worse the further you get away from Murakami's peak couple of seasons, which are now like 3 years in the rear view.
All right, so then that's the one thing I asked. I've seen the stat out there where over 93 or something, he was not good against 93 and above. So how worried should we be about these metrics? Because you're talking about 2 or 3 years ago when he was really great, but his numbers have declined. All the other analytics have declined. So if you're a big league team, why would you put a 9-figure deal on a guy that might hit you 40, but he also might strike out 30 to 40% of the time and not hit you 40 homers?
Yeah, I think, just to cite it specifically, I'll do my Tony Kornheiser now, where I look at my notes so I get it right. But yeah, like between 2023 and 2025, so this is like a multi-year sample, which I wanted to take with Murakami because he's been hurt a bunch for the last 12 months. 2024 ended with injury. He had multiple throughout 2025. It's a 64% contact rate overall. Against fastballs, it's 71% contact rate. 93 and above, 61% contact rate. And just so like for context, if I'm just looking at like the big league leaderboard for the last handful of seasons, comparable players are like Bobby Dahlbeck and Miguel Sano and Luke Raley and Christopher Morel and players who are on the fringe. And I think, if you are a team that has a lot of money such that you can risk it for your biscuit on this is not a guy who I would expect to actually be in like the Mariners market, despite their needs, because they just haven't behaved in a way that would indicate, sure, we can throw a $100 million contract at a guy who might swing and miss too much to be good for very long. But the Dodgers might do something like that, or the Yankees might do something like that, or the Red Sox, who I'd argue did like a different version of the same thing with Masataka Yoshida, except where the power piece was just not there and the defense piece was not there. They felt free to do something, greater than what most of the industry thought was kosher. In Murakami's case, like you have to, the injury piece of it could factor into, your optimism. If he's going to get better, maybe it's just health. And then the other thing is, you have a player development department and you show Munetaka Murakami to that group and maybe come away with some preconceived notions about how you might make this guy better. Now, how much better does he have to be? Like ultimately, you don't have to go far down this like swing and miss leaderboard basically until you get to Teoscar Hernandez, until you get to Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, who swing and miss a lot. They're just making the quality of their contact when they make contact is so good. And like Murakami's not that type of physical beast like those guys. Teoscar is pretty close in terms of like Murakami's physicality and hits left-handed, but it is like, it's 6 percentage points or so of like worth of contact rate just overall. but it's like a 10% bump for the contact hitter Murakami's been to this point, which is like pretty big. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, Kratzy and AJ, like how much of hitting is really innate and how much of it can be taught. I think there's a difference between learning how to hit and being taught how to hit. And I think some of the learning can just come with reps. There might be a learning curve for anyone coming over from Japan just because of the quality of stuff in the States. But like there might be some swing maintenance that could be done to make this a little bit more viable. And even if, like the hitters I mentioned, Miguel Sano, et cetera, like there are peak seasons in there that you still feel good about overall. Like if you're a 2 WAR plus player, then you should be making like 20-ish million a year anyway. Like, so I think that he could get to be that, but I think the whole subset of teams is just not going to be in on this guy because of what the price is going to be for the handful of teams who think he's going to hit and maybe think that he can play third base.
I talked to a prominent scout in the game, and he said 2022, the year you were talking about, he said it was elite level. It was elite level. It was high. It was velocity. It was low. It was breaking balls. It was in and out. He was covering everything. So to me, when you bring up somebody like a Joey Gallo, like those types of things, this is somebody who's done it at a high level. So that value should still be there because it's not like he's now on the wrong side of 30. Are teams putting all this out there saying, oh, okay, well, this is why we shouldn't pay for him so that they squash down this Japanese market for a hitter who has power that we haven't seen out of Japan? To me, the ceiling is super high, besides the fact that he might not be able to even play defense in the big leagues. The ceiling is super high. He just hasn't tapped into it the last few years.
Yeah, I think you could argue that. And I think the angle that you're shooting there where it's like, wouldn't team sources want to tell the media things that suppress the player's value? Yeah, and in the same vein, there are agents for these players who are telling members of the media the opposite. Maybe they would consider Tatsuya Imai to be the top pitcher on the market. If you're his agent, I bet you do. You might have a heavier comp on that guy. And if you have a friend who likes to tweet and has a lot of followers and is maybe influential in the industry, then yeah, maybe you would hit the gas pedal a little bit as far as what you think about. There have been Japanese pitchers who have come over in the past where, pretty transparently, people, before I basically got off social media, you could see some of the comps being thrown around were the same clients for the agent of the Japanese player that the writer was comparing him to. It's, there's definitely some of that going on, Kratzy. This is my analysis. It's not my money to spend. It's super easy to say, hey, this guy's got 7 or 8 raw. So just give him whatever. And maybe you teach him not to load so deep. Maybe he won't be underneath so many fastballs if he's a little shorter to the baseball. But that's more of a player development piece rather than a scouting piece. And just from where I'm sitting, there has to be either a rebound like you're talking about or a mechanical change, some positive player development for him to be the sort of player who justifies, an enormous contract. But I still like him as a player. I still have him graded essentially as an average everyday player, not some godlike, 40 homer, he's hitting 250 plus with a 380 OBP. That's not necessarily what I think this guy's going to be. I think it's going to be frustrating. And, the other thing to mention, Erik, is Roki Sasaki at one point was, hey, he's done this before and this is how it looked. And then it trended worse for a couple of years. And I thought to myself, well, we've seen it in there before. Why wouldn't we be able to see it in there again? And then he went to the Dodgers, who are as good at developing players as anyone. And there were real struggles. It wasn't just that putting on that uniform was a panacea for his issues. And so, I sort of have the same point of view as Murakami is concerned.
Erik, one more on this, and then I want to make sure we get a few minutes on the other name, on Imai. How much does age factor into the entire value of what we're talking about here? We almost never have young free agents for baseball terms. Front offices live and die off of projection models and age curves. Some of this does have to do with the fact that, yes, it's a lottery ticket, but he's 25 years old. You can get better at 25 years old, and you also can't find 25-year-old position players with high upside on the market. So curious for your take there, and if you can mix in, too, the part you said about mechanics. We've seen many guys adjust mechanically, whether they're here at that age or from overseas. Again, I don't know. I'm just presenting the other side here where we had like our pre-production call and Kratz was like, they said this about Seiya Suzuki. Then he came over and he's been a pretty good player in the big leagues.
Good. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's a difference between the evaluation and the valuation. And his age is a positive variable impacting the way you value that guy. But the swing and miss stuff is still there. And 25 is 25. It's not 30. And I agree that it's better for him to be 25 than for him to be 29. But the athlete we're talking about here is not a projectable athlete. It's not like Jacob deGrom, where he's just, sorry, the Hells Angels are my bodyguards. It's not like...
Good line.
It's not like their kids in my neighborhood who tool around on their motorcycles. I'm just jealous of them, not mad. The Murakami's like maxed out. Like he's 25, but he's not really projectable in the way that some guys are physically projectable deep into their 20s and maybe even beyond. This is like a stout, physically dense, like maxed out guy where I don't necessarily see there being the sort of like projection I was taught to include in my report, like when I'm assessing someone's peak in the future. Doesn't really exist with this guy visually and athletically. It only exists in his age as just a number. So that is where a little bit of like my tepid enthusiasm for that sort of comes in. But yeah, I think he's a good player, just not like, there will have to be changes, I think, if he's going to be an absolute beast.
AJ, you there? Last one. Nope, not hearing you, dude. I think you're muted.
Scott muted me. Scott muted me. What am I? I want to know. Am I going to the Dodgers? Am I going to the Dodgers, or are you going to the Dodgers? But what's his projection? Can he be a top end starter? Like Shota came in his first year, was a huge deal, or you have Roki who didn't really do much till the postseason. Where does Imai stand on that?
Yeah, he's really interesting. I think some of what you guys alluded to before I hopped on, where you mentioned that his strike throwing has improved year over year for like the last 3-4 years. And that's true. But I think some of what was at play with Roki is definitely at play with Imai too, where when you throw as hard as these guys do in Japan, they just chase it more often. And I think some of your strike throwing looks a little bit better because you're gifted chase. And I think there's some of that going on for Imai, but I really love him. Like the durability piece of this, they really let these guys, obviously like the week-to-week schedule is different for Japanese starters than big league starters. But the durability piece here, this guy was like sitting in the mid-90s comfortably at the very end of the season. His fastball has real ride. His slider's excellent. He's really athletic. Like this is a really loose, whippy armed guy. He's deceptive because of the arm speed piece. He does not show hitters the ball until late. You see him laying back and he's parallel with the ground. So as an athlete, I really like him. His stuff is great. He just sure looks like a starter to me athletically and from a stuff standpoint. And I do think that the command piece of it is more fine than good. Like definitely, three grades basically behind where I had Yamamoto when he was coming over, where Yamamoto was just like, like I had peak Greinke comps on Yamamoto basically coming over. Imai, I think, is going to be a good team's like third starter. Like he does strike me as the type of guy who can take the ball as a starter in a playoff series. That's how good he is. Where the durability piece and the stuff and the athleticism check, those boxes pretty emphatically. And then we'll see. I think there's maybe some room for improvement for him delivery wise. I don't know if you guys have seen video of him. Like he's pretty short striding guy. I think he's more athletic than that and could like maybe stand to get down the mound a little bit more even. And there might even be like some positive improvements for him, I think, once he comes over here, depending on the org. But yeah, I think he's quite good and is going to get a big deal. Ben Clemens, who does our top 50 free agents over at Fangraphs, has him stuffed pretty good. And I advised on that and more or less agree with where Ben's got him. Yeah, Tatsuya Imai, good pitcher.
Erik, good stuff, man. Appreciate it. You can find much more on this topic, of course, on Fangraphs. And Erik has a write-up, including many others that were asked about in the chat. We just don't have time right now, but other players coming through, maybe we'll bring them back. Erik, thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Talk soon, I hope. See you guys.
Talk soon, yes. Marc Topkin joining us next for the Rays offseason to-do list. BetMGM put this out on IG. How did they do? MLB champs ranking the last 10. They have the 2024 Dodgers 1, the 2017 Astros 2. Oh boy. The 2016 Cubs 3, the 2025 Dodgers 4, the 2022 Astros 5, then the 2018 Red Sox, 2020 Dodgers, 2019 Nats, 2021 Braves, and 2023 Texas Rangers. I feel like the Astros is a whole nother category. I mean, do you want to slice and dice anything else on here?
I'm gonna let Kratz talk about the 2017 Astros, just because he seems like he would know more than I would about what happened there.
I feel like MGM was maybe trying to get us to look at the list when you put the Astros that high. That 22 Astros team, that was nice. The 17 one, I think maybe it's too soon. But Joe Girardi told us. Get over it. So
yeah, but you can still rank them 10 since they got in big trouble and you don't know what really happened. Like,
I mean, they have to be 10.
No, we know what
They
happened.
should be 10.
Actually, we know what happened. There's no we don't know what happened. No, we know.
I'm saying we don't know what they would have been like if they didn't have that advantage. So here we go. I tried to get us away from them and we just can't. That dominates the list. It dominates the comments. Anything else on there that stood out?
2015 Royals need to be much higher. Sorry.
Okay. The 2015 Royals are not in the last 10.
Yes. So that's a problem.
Kratz.
That's
We went from 2016 on.
Oh, 16 on.
I was like, wait, are you?
That would have been
punching me,
11.
or-
I thought he was trying to
That
dunk us.
Yeah.
that's
If
why
we
they're
did a
not
list
over.
on the top
Okay.
15 or top 20, yes, we can put them higher. But
Kratz, you're not allowed to
wow,
put the
really
team you
don't
were
like
on. Trust me, I learned when I did my list for Fox the last.
That's the only reason I wanted to say it.
Yeah, people, you're not allowed to pick your own team. Why not? We were really good.
This was really, really productive. Hey, there's a pro football same game parlay boost token to score a bigger payout. BetMGM app. Go check it out. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Coming up next on FT, we continue our series on our quest to get to all 30 teams over these few weeks. The offseason to-do list covering the Tampa Bay Rays with the great Marc Topkin. Coming up. Time to talk Rays, their offseason to-do list with Marc Topkin, who's been covering the Rays for the Tampa Bay Times for a long time. And Topper, it's great to see you. The way we play this game is you lay out the three for us, and then we'll ask you some follow-ups and try and dissect what the Rays should do versus what they will do. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Fair. Well, they got to do something about the outfield. There's not enough offense in the outfield. They were 30th in home runs, 26th in OPS, 27th in RBI. They've got to find some more thump in the outfield. And then they've got to find, this is funny because the Rays are usually deep in starting pitching. They traded 2 away this year in July, Taj Bradley and Zach Littell, but they need a proven starter. There's just too much uncertainty about Shane McClanahan to count on him to be their anchor. So I think they're going to need to go find a veteran starter. And this is a little offbeat here, but they've got to kind of get adjusted. They've got to hope that Tropicana Field gets finished and that they get back there. It was a very disruptive year last year for the Rays, obviously, as a result of the hurricane because of the damage to the Trop. They ended up playing at Steinbrenner Field. Great hats off to the Yankees for making that work for them. But they were not at home. They were not comfortable there. I think, in retrospect, they realized it kind of wore them down with just how the heat and everything worked. So those are kind of their three things. Number three, obviously not as much in their control as the first two.
All right, well, let's go to outfield offense, because the last I checked, outfield offense in the free agent market costs a lot of money. And we're going to hear the whole, ooh, they offered Kyle Tucker this really neat contract. I get that. But how do they say, okay, we're going to go and get this outfield offense? Are they hoping that some of their outfield will stay healthy and have a resurgence? Or is this something that you think they will actually go out and find it on the market or even on the trade market?
I think it's going to be more the latter, Kratz. I mean, Josh Lowe can do better. Josh Lowe had another rough year. Got hurt right at the start, and that I think was a big factor. But Josh Lowe a couple years ago with an 800 plus OPS and some incredible stats. I think the line on that was the only player better that year was Acuna, if you parse the stats the right way. So Josh Lowe's got to do more. That's the internal improvement there. But they just had too many complementary type players last year. They're playing Jake Mangum. They're playing Chandler Simpson, Cam Meisner for the first half of the year. They were guys that were good defensive players, but didn't have a lot of power, didn't get on base a ton. That got better. Mangum obviously got better at that. Simpson with the great speed. Meisner just got DFA'd, so that kind of shows you that he didn't fit in anymore. Christopher Morel didn't really do a lot. Now, Johnny DeLuca was hurt almost all year. He played only 19 games. Richie Palacios was a guy they were counting on could play infield or outfield, but they're not going to go get Randy Arozarena back, but that's the kind of bat you need, ideally, right? You had that guy a couple of years ago, somebody who can hit the ball out of the park, drive the ball in the gap, put some fear in the opposing pitchers. I just don't know they're going to compete. They're not going to sign Kyle Tucker. They're not going to get Bellinger. They're not going to be at the top of the market, Grisham. But, they find their way to find these guys sometimes, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it may be somebody we've never heard of. It may be somebody who needed a second chance, change of scenery, that type of situation is my sense.
All right. Well, the outfield's one thing, but you mentioned starting pitching on the other thing. The Rays are always great at finding pitching. And you just mentioned that they'll go out and find this guy or that guy. How have the Rays not found enough starting pitching? Because that's always been their thing. They find relievers and they find enough pitching to sustain them. And then, do we get enough offense? So how have they not found enough starting pitching?
Or they find relievers and turn them into starters, right? They did that with Zach Littell, and that worked out pretty good for them and for Zach, because he's going to make some money this offseason. But, look, I think they traded two guys away. So if you assume that the Rays are usually and still are really smart in the pitching department, they must have had their reasons. Littell had an expiring contract. That was one thing. But trading Taj Bradley, they just don't know about McClanahan. That's been a big blow. He hasn't pitched since April of 23. He's supposedly going to go to camp healthy, but he hasn't pitched a game since April of 23. So even if he's perfectly healthy and over that, how much can you count on him to do this season? So they're going to come back with Drew Rasmussen, who's coming off a great year. Came back from that third significant elbow surgery. Kyle Snyder said he's probably the only pitcher that's come back. It wasn't a third Tommy John, but it was pretty close. Come back and had a great year. Ryan Pepio had a pretty good year, ERA in the mid to high threes. Shane Baz, it looks like he had a pretty good year, but that ERA was pushing 5. And then, like I said, McClanahan's an uncertainty. You've got Joe Boyle, who's been very inconsistent. Ian Seymour did well in an opportunity he wasn't probably expected to get last year. But there's not enough depth there. They need a kind of a veteran guy. I mean, maybe they bring Adrian Hauser back. I've heard maybe they talk to Zach Eflin, who was here before. I'm sorry, I mixed up my Zachs for a second. Zach Eflin, who was here a few years ago, and they traded him to the Orioles. He's a free agent now. Was obviously a great fit when he was here. So, maybe one of those rebound guys, short-term deal, that type of situation. So I think they'll find somebody, AJ. But, it is a bit surprising that they don't really have that pipeline going right now from the minor leagues like they've had in the past. And maybe they go get Joe Ryan back. They had him. That'd be an interesting trade.
I never thought I'd say this on the show. Man, they can't wait. The Rays can't wait to get back into the Trop. They're looking forward to the Trop. Do you have any new info? Obviously, we're not driving by the stadium right now. Is it going to be ready? Is there a fear that they have to play a few more games up until May in Steinbrenner again, although the Yankees said, we're not doing this. This is a 1-year thing.
I mean, I think right now, as we sit here today on November 10th, the people that are in charge of this seem to feel pretty good that it's going to be ready. They were very fortunate. The whole, obviously, area was very fortunate. No hurricanes this year that hit the area. There wasn't a ton of rain. There wasn't a lot of bad weather. I mean, there's some videos out there. These guys up there on the roof, I mean, they talk about being a challenging job. These guys climbing up the roof, having to basically sew the pieces together. It's done in panels. There's 24 panels. As of Friday, 19 were up. So, AJ, I'll help you with that. 5 to go. And then, they've got to work from there going forward. Once they get the roof on, then all the inside work starts, right? They've got new turf. They've got to replace some seats. Almost everything that was, hit by water is damaged, has got to be replaced. Some of the walls, water leaked all over the place. So there's a ton of work to do inside, but there seems to be a pretty good confidence that they're going to be ready. They're supposed to play April 6th. MLB has them on the road for the first 9 games, and they come home and play the Cubs and the Yankees. I'm not sure playing the Cubs made the most sense, because if you had to flip it, you probably should have been playing another AL East team there, so you could, hey, we'll play up at your place and you come back here later. But their plan is to be ready to go April 6th, so I'm sure you guys will be here. AJ, you going to come over?
Absolutely, I'll be there. Why wouldn't I be? It's the day after Easter, because Easter is April 5th. So absolutely, as long as you get me tickets, Stopper, but I can't count that far ahead. As you mentioned, my math is awesome. So what I want to know, though, is there's a new owner in town, Patrick Zalewski. What have we heard anything from him? Because I haven't really seen much from him and what he's going to do. And where is there going to be a new stadium? Because Orlando still would love to get a stadium, although I think that's kind of dead now. But have we heard anything about a new stadium? We're talking Trop here, but we have a new owner, a new ownership group, and a new, hopefully, hope for a new stadium. Can you give us some details on that?
Yeah, I mean, there've been one media session with the new ownership group. It was a couple, 3-4 weeks ago, or it was early October, so I guess it was about a month ago, actually. And they came out pretty strong. And Patrick Zalewski, the head guy, and then Ken Babby, who owns the Jacksonville and Akron minor league teams, is going to be the CEO, and he's going to kind of be the day-to-day guy. But they came out and said they are looking for a new stadium. They want to be just like the Battery. They want 100 acres, which is pretty big, larger than the Battery. And they want to have it open for the 2029 season. And they admitted that was aggressive and maybe audacious. And it's definitely ambitious, all those things, all the A words, because that's going to be pretty hard to get done. I mean,
Mark, you froze there. Still with us?
Oh,
Back now. We were just
I
a
can
little
hear you.
offline.
You guys hear me too?
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Just me and you now.
That's good. All right, we'll get to Topper. 1 sec. Working on it.
I have to ask Topper, because the Rays are always smarter than us. The Rays are always smarter than us, especially in pitching.
Well,
They
I wonder
always
if the league is catching up via copycatting. And they've been poached more than any team in org, probably in baseball, over the past 15 years or so, right? I would say that's
Topper.
probably a good case. All right, Topper,
Topper,
we got
you
you
got
back. Keep
Okay,
flowing. We
where
missed
were
like
we?
the last.
I was
We missed like the second portion, I would say, probably of the
Okay,
answer.
so they want to open a stadium for the 29 season. They want it to be like the Battery in Atlanta. They're looking for a 100-acre site, which would be bigger than the Battery. One that seems to fit that would literally be right next to Steinbrenner Field, where the Hillsborough Community College, or Hillsborough College is now called, is known. We're right across from Raymond James. Stadium would be kind of like a Philadelphia thing. You'd have a bunch of stadiums there all together. There's some other possibilities as well. They said there's some sites that probably people aren't aware of that also would fit that. It's been really quiet. I agree with you. It's surprising there hasn't been more said. But I think what we're hearing through some back channels is they're having a ton of meetings. They're trying to work on this. And they're going to have a site picked here. I'm not great at math here like AJ. But also, they're going to have to get started here sometime early in 26 if they're going to have this thing open for 29, I would think.
All right. Well, the Rays are always smarter than all of us, so maybe they have the idea of why getting rid of Pete Fairbanks for $11 million was a good idea. Is there something that we don't know? Because normally when you see the Rays not keep a pitcher or trade for a pitcher, you did look back and you go, ooh, okay, well, shoot, we shouldn't have gotten rid of that guy. Or, wait, what's wrong? Why would the Rays get rid of him? Because is $11 million for a closer in the big leagues too much?
I think that's a fair conclusion. I think that's a fair conclusion, Kratz, to make, that they felt that way. I know what Erik Neander said in talking to him the other night was that, they feel like they've got a lot of depth in the bullpen. We know they in the past have liked to use the closer by committee when, ever since Fairbanks signed that contract for the last 3 years, he was pretty much the guy. But they've got a chance now to mix it up. They've got Griffin Jacks. They've got Evan Uceta. They've got Clevenger. They'll have Manny Rodriguez at some point back during the year. So I think you're going to see him go back to that. But, yeah, I think the way Neander explained it was at that much money, they're not expecting the payroll to increase. The one thing that Patrick Zalewski said, they said they were going to not interfere with baseball operations, but he also did say that, the revenue stream doesn't change until they get a new stadium built. It doesn't change just because they have new owners. So I thought that was a telling comment, that they weren't going to just come in and double the payroll or anything like that. So I do think that they're going to be in that 80 million or so range again. And the way Neander made it sound was that to carry that money as a reliever, they feel like they could spend that money in other areas. We just talked about getting a bat for the outfield, talked about getting a starting pitcher. We also thought, why not pick it up and then trade him, right? And you get, the music stops. There's some teams that don't sign closers in the offseason. Somebody shows up in spring training even with an injury. But Neander's point was that to carry that $11 million without knowing could limit their maneuverability early in the offseason. So, yeah, I think you could look at it and say, why couldn't a team afford an $11 million closer? And then what's unsaid is, what is their evaluation of Pete? I know the fastball's come down a couple ticks, but he's also added a third pitch. I think at 27 saves last year, career high 60 innings. But, definitely had some blow-up type games, some very costly home runs. So, I think this was a baseball decision, but I think money was also part of it, as it is with almost every decision the Rays make.
All right. If it's money, then our chat has been clamoring about trades. Obviously, anybody can be traded when it's the Rays. But specifically, unless you have somebody else that's definitely more hot on the market, Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau. Do you see them getting traded, one or both of them, this offseason?
I don't. I think part of what they were trying to do, and Brandon Lau's option and Pete Fairbanks' option were essentially the same, 11, 5, and 11. And I think by keeping Brandon, that was a decision, and maybe it was keep him and let Pete go. But I do think for a team that needs offense, Yandy Diaz had a $12 million contract with an option for 27. Brandon Lau on a 1-year contract for $11.5 million. Those are two pretty productive players. They don't really have a replacement for Brandon Lau at second base. Now, if somehow during their offseason they find somebody who's going to give them production and happens to be a second baseman, that could change that conversation. But I think as we sit here today, they're going to have both those guys to start the season. Now, come July, if they're having another season where they're not in the playoff race, then I think that conversation changes.
Topper, great stuff. You nailed it on the offseason to-do list. Much, much more from Topper. Give him a follow. Check out his work in the Tampa Bay Times. Good catching up with you.
Sounds good. Foul territory from the Trop, April 6th. Why don't you guys all come over?
I love the idea. I'm all for more road shows. So we'll jump over there. We got to do a show. AJ, we haven't done a show from there. Regular season.
It's not my fault, Scott. I keep offering. You keep saying no. It's not my fault.
I don't say no.
This true, Scott.
All right. The request has been punched in. We will talk soon.
All right. Topper sits with us the whole game.
Thank you. Slap hands coming up now. The 655-day drought is over. The A's have turned their replies back on for a post that was very coordinated. They said from Silver Sluggers to All-Stars to Grand Slams this season had some pretty electric highlights. Comment your favorite home run our guys hit this year. Guess what most of the replies were about? The reason they turned it off. Yeah. But also just like have some balls. Just leave it on. Who cares if people are criticizing you? Every organization is going to get praised and criticized. This one's going to receive more of it. So they just stripped a city of a team. But there were fans in there that were actually commenting, answering the question. And yeah, you're going to get criticism because you don't really address the problem and your owner's a fool. It is what it is. It's crazy to me that they went this long. That's like almost 2 years where you can't reply to. It's like, why even have the account?
It makes zero connection. If you watch anybody go to a video, post anything, most people go down to the comments. Unless you are specifically trained to be like, nope, I don't read comments because they're negative or whatever it is. People go right down to the comments. This just inhibits so much fan engagement with your team, which is so crazy to me. Like, doesn't this team want that? It almost should be mandatory for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and also it makes people laugh. Best comment was from a guy named Joe Martin. Fisher's favorites were the two Aaron Judge homers in his minor league ballpark. That's good.
Good. Great timing.
Funny.
His own words. It was his own words. Like, we're getting a laugh, John. You're a funny guy. All the owners say you're a funny guy. Like, we can get laughs. It's okay.
AJ, it's called social media.
True. By the way, the Gap in Orlando shut down. I don't know what Fisher's doing, but not only has he moved the team from Oakland to Vegas, but the Gap closed in their mall, which I never thought I would see. The Gap, who Fisher owns, in case y'all didn't know.
Yes, he does. Perhaps selling it to stack up to be able to pay for the ballpark.
The Gap, like everybody used to go to the Gap. The Gap was the shit back in the day. The Gap was the spot. Now, apparently, it's not the spot.
His name and face affiliated with the company does not help the cause. It's true.
The Gap didn't make jeans that fit my butt, so I never got to wear Gap jeans.
Oh, we have a jeans sponsor coming soon that will help you out. Let's slap. A lot of beef today, and we're going to do a bonus few minutes on YouTube before we send people to the Dodgers Territory live show. Do you guys want to hear from Jason Kelce or the beef with the Dodgers and Drake? Pick one.
Kelce.
Neither?
I was going to say the Drake one seems more real.
Let's do Kelce here, and then we'll do the Drake one for after slap.
We're going to stamp baseball for what?
Listen, just because the Phillies didn't make it doesn't mean the World Series wasn't absolutely epic. That was an awesome 7 games of baseball, man. It was back and forth.
Yeah.
Both teams had their shining moments. Blue Jays are up all game going into the 8th inning.
So you're telling me I'm supposed to get excited about a Canadian baseball team and a team that just spends more money than everybody else? Who the cares about either?
Both of them spend more money than everybody. It's baseball.
Yeah, that's why baseball sucks. That's why baseball sucks. You just buy World Series championships. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
I was enjoying the out of it. It's exciting.
It's exciting. It's exciting that the team that spent the most money and everybody knew was going to win the World Series won the World Series.
I don't watch the show.
I didn't even want to justify this. I hope he was kidding because, listen, I'll give Travis credit because he stood up for the right thing. But the Chiefs, who his brother plays for, goes to the Super Bowl every year, right? And they're like, oh, the Chiefs, we have a salary cap, the Chiefs, it's all good. And then the Eagles are the other team that wins. So it's Chiefs and Eagles, the two teams these guys played for. And then you go back, and it was the Patriots forever that won every Super Bowl. So what is he talking about? He wanted us to talk about it. We talked about it. Congratulations, JC. Way to go. Woo-hoo. You got your clickbait.
He said, he started it out by saying, well, you want me to cheer for a baseball team from Canada? Like, come on. And then they're cutting in and out. there's funny satire there. Good, funny satire. So don't take it as he hates baseball. He doesn't hate baseball. He's on it. He gets it.
I give Travis credit, though. Travis stood up. Travis did the right thing. He stood up because it was a great series. Whether you want to root for it or not, Jason, it was a great World Series. So kudos to Travis.
Yeah, see, I don't follow either of them much. I do know Jason's definitely got a little bit of comic vibes to him, so I think he's just messing around. I know he's a diehard Phillies fan, so he's probably a little bit perturbed.
Shouldn't he be a Reds fan since him and his brother are from Cincinnati? Oh, wait. No, they don't care about that. They go other places.
Yeah, Travis doesn't say Cincinnati. University of Cincinnati. He says New Heights High School.
Does he really?
Yes. Watch their next, when they announce, Erik Kratz,
by the way,
EMU.
Big game tonight. Big game tonight for the Philly boys.
Oh yeah, Eagles Packers.
Ooh.
Go Birds. But yeah, so you gotta say the college that you're from, because I was hanging out with somebody last night who was from Cincinnati. He's like, I'm pissed. He never says University of Cincinnati. He says it's high school, because I was laughing. I always liked that part of it.
Is that where Taylor Swift went? Is that where Taylor Swift went? That's what Travis.
I don't know where Taylor Swift went.
We'll show the Drake stuff after the show goes off for TV. We have 60 seconds. Woodruff got a qualifying offer. Giolito did not. And, Trent Grisham, I know you brought up the other day, Kratz. I actually was kind of surprised. But I was surprised that he got a qualifying offer. I know you said you thought he deserved it. I'm not saying he doesn't. Yeah. I was surprised he got one. Woodruff, I guess you could be surprised that it's the Brewers that are offering it, but they clearly think that he is looking like an ace, and they weren't worried about the lat. Yeah,
and I think basically the qualifying offer is a team that's okay having that player at essentially $22 million. It's not quite 22, but it's – and so the Yankees are okay with having a one-year stopgap in center field with Trent Grisham.
All right, we're back. We have the Drake clip, so we'll go to that for the last few minutes of the bonus show. Let's run it.
I try to keep I try to stay humble, don't talk too much, but that doesn't go unnoticed, Like when you do something like that, when you kind of disrespect a little bit the best player in the game, not understanding the quality of the person and what the guy have done for baseball, it's really hard to jump into conclusions at that time. We lose game 3. Just Savage threw a really good game, and we're not doing anything else than kind of praise the guy because he pitched the ball. He threw the ball really well. He pitched an amazing game. He's a different pitcher. He's a unicorn on the pitching side. And then all of a sudden we got this guy right here. We all know who he is, but you don't have to do that, man. Shohei Ohtani has been doing everything and anything for baseball.
So, Drake showed Ohtani striking out and said, Savage already on the way to the dugout, boss. LOL. Dodgers used it as bulletin board material, and they had a lot of fun with it, I guess, once they were celebrating and also in the ballpark. Also, the Dodgers always played Kendrick Lamar, his little diss track that went platinum or whatever the heck they call it these days. They not like us, so. Fun beef. Cute. I think it's cute.
Wait, Drake's from the 6, right? So he stood up for his team. There's a Drake curse forever, right? Yeah. Or Drake wears your jersey, you're in trouble. That stinks.
But also he posted a picture of him striking out. Was there something else that I missed? That's pretty playful and fun.
It's pretty awesome that he's a fan, though.
Yeah, but why are they taking it so personal?
Unlike Jason Kelce, Drake is a Blue Jays fan, so good for him. He was rooting for his team, right? At least he was watching. I give him
just showing a strikeout is bad.
That is kind of an iconic photo, though. It is kind of an iconic photo of your Trey Savage, and the one where Vladdy hit the home run, and he's like, there's two photos, and the Blue Jays still lost, which is kind of funny. That's kind of more what they're saying.
Two more things. I want to do the guest list on our way out, but also the big debate in the chat today was best starting pitcher in the Dodgers rotation. Is it not Yamamoto in the power rankings right now? Pretty clearly. I mean, people were talking about Ohtani. I guess maybe, I don't know if anyone put Snell or Clase out there, but Yamamoto, easy, no?
Yamamoto's all the way up. Nothing can stop him.
That's good. That's good. Kratz hat's on the way out, and while you're getting that ready, Ken Rosenthal, Skip Schumacher, and Tommy Canley on Wednesday. Tomorrow, we have Jace Tingler, and we will go over the AL MVP debate with Ryan Divish and Chris Kirshner for the Mariners versus the Yankees side. Kratz?
People forget. They lost their 2 pitchers that we talked about at the top, and the Guardians still made the playoffs.
Very true. Stephen Vogt, back-to-back Manager of the Year, perhaps? Rookie of the Year tonight. We'll talk about who wins
Don't bet on baseball. Don't bet on baseball, kid.
Good advice.